So just like my colleague Frederick said, I'm the guy who comes to brag about the program, the institute experience, and the experience while my stay in the US. Before I go into that, I'd like to give a special thanks to Mr. Peter Masika here, and maybe you can give him a round of applause. It was my first time to hear about Yali last year when I was working with Peter Masika in some projects. I have an IT background, so I used to work with him in some projects together. So he talked to me randomly about Yali. You just apply and then you go to States and then you just go there. It was just like that. And then he didn't say anything much, but from him, I grasped that and I took my time and go deeper and looked into Yali. And then I said, yeah, this is a good thing. And I think I should apply for it. So I went to the site, just like Frederick said, signed up for the application. I got the email. I used one night to do an application. Just one night. I'm not that smart, but I had to do it because it was almost on the deadline. So I had to make sure that I get this opportunity. So I applied for the program. I didn't have any tips from anybody, just the word about Yali. I had to be honest as I could, and luckily I was called in for the interview, and then I was selected.
Okay, I am Lilian Benjamin, a freelance counselor hapa Taioa. So I have a question. In one of the points you mentioned, there was a point about optional supplemental documents kwenye application. I wanted to know if there's any other sort of documents that a person can submit, and what happens if you don't at all? Like, does it affect your application or not?
Really, when you do the first phase of the application, these certificates, that's why they are optional. We really don't look into them. We just want the application, like the actual application of Yali. So if you have your certificates and all of that, people bring them, that's fine. People really attach them, that's okay. But then really it's optional. You don't have to, because they won't add or minus anything. We have everything that we want to hear from you from the application. All the questions that you have on the application form, they tell us everything about you. Like, they answer all of our questions. So if you don't have an opportunity to attach them, that's not going to affect your application at all.
Good afternoon. My name is Gladys. I wanted to know from you and him. Sorry, I've forgotten your names. You guys have just talked about how everything is, it's good and all the positive stuff. Like, what about what has been, let's say, your biggest challenge in this whole fellowship, from the start of your application to what's the most highlight, the one thing that stands out the most as the biggest challenge?
I went to the States when I was very young, and one of the things that was a challenge to me was cold. For example, I'm from Dar. It's not cold at all. And I lived in Boston, Massachusetts. It gets really, really cold. So that was one of the challenges. So fellows, like maybe Musa really didn't get it, but then fellows, sometimes they'll come and tell us, oh, I couldn't eat, the food was so bad. Like, you're from here, you're so used to the sort of kind of food that we eat here. You go there, it's different. And most of the things that people will be eating will be like McDonald's and KFCs. And that is not, I can't say it's not healthy, but then maybe going to buy stuff like majani will be a bit expensive because it's organic, and organic food in the States is very expensive. So some of the challenges that I hear from fellows, and I being myself one of the alumni going to the States, it was food, it was cold, it was culture, interaction,